What's up, you guys? I want to talk to you today about why studying games played by chess grandmasters is pretty much a waste of time for the vast majority of people looking to improve their game. I know this is a controversial idea, but if you'll bear with me, you'll start to understand why this is so unbelievably ineffective for the majority of people out there. So a lot of people, when they see a learning strategy, they basically just say, well, does it work? And it's either a yes or no. But that's a very bad way of going about it, because just because something works doesn't mean that it's good. It could work, but be very slow to teach people. It could work, but not work on all different learning styles of individuals. It could only work for certain people. It could be extremely difficult to learn in those sorts of ways. So just because it works doesn't mean that it's good. The other thing that it can potentially do is create muddled thinking. And we see this a lot of times when we see like virtuosos of pianos or musical instruments and whatnot. They can become very good, but can they teach someone else to get to the level that they are? No, because they sort of have an intuition, a muscle memory, and whatever it may be that starts to allow them to get to those levels. They're not sure what they're doing, and so we call that unconscious competence, and that happens a whole lot in this game. So to give an analogy, watching these games is kind of like watching someone deadlift 600 pounds. Like, you could watch them every single day, you could take notes on their form, notice every little movement that they make. Well, when you try to deadlift 600 pounds, it's probably not going to happen, right? The other thing is that people will say, well, you've got to go in there and you've got to try to lift the weight yourself. That's the equivalent of them saying you've got to play chess, right? And whenever you try to just come in there and play like that, it's, again, just like trying to come in on your first day in the gym and try to deadlift 600 pounds. It's not going to happen. You could try every single day. You could show up. It's not going to work. Now, the way that you deadlift 600 pounds is you do a lot of other stuff. And just like in chess, you're going to do a lot of other stuff to be able to get to that. That's not where we start, right? And that's the same thing and the same analogy whenever we look at these grandmaster games as well. If this actually worked, we'd see everyone's rating curve just go straight up. And it doesn't. Most of the time, people flatten out. Why is that? Because this strategy doesn't work. Right? So why do we even have this strategy to begin with? Well, back in ancient times, prior to 1990, we didn't have chess engines and computers to tell us what the good move and the bad move was or whatever. We had essentially the guy over there, and everyone that he plays, he beats. Well, let's take a look at his games. Hey, every single time he starts a game, he plays e4. Maybe we should play that too. And that's whenever people started to study these games. And the openings were a little bit reachable for a lot of people. That's why most chess coaches love to talk about teaching openings to people as if that's the magic cure-all. It can make people better to learn those openings, absolutely. But only the chess prodigies really were able to pull out those high-level positional and tactical ideas as they studied those games. The rest of us didn't quite get it. And as those prodigies started to watch those games and really learn and study them, they developed intuition. So let me tell you a quick story about intuition. So once upon a time, a guy wanted to learn about jade. So he seeks out the Jade Master, finds his house, knocks on the door. Jade Master opens up and he says, hey, I want to learn about jade. He says, great, come on in. He takes a green stone and he pushes it into his hand. And then the guy starts to talk about tea. And the guy says, oh, I'm not here to talk about tea. I want to hear about jade. That's why I'm here. He says, go home, come back in a week. So he comes back in a week, knocks on the door. He says, oh, I still want to learn about jade? Great, come on in. Takes another green stone, pushes it into his hand, and then starts to talk about frogs. He says, wait a minute, I'm not here to talk about frogs. I need to learn about jade. He says, go home, come back in a month. This continues on, and the guy that shows up continues to interrupt less and less. And eventually one day he shows up, and as the Jade Master pushes the green stone into his hand, the guy says, this is not genuine jade I hold. So this is the way a lot of people learn chess. It's very intuitive. He doesn't know exactly what's happened and what's not happened to be able to come up with these ideas. And this is exactly what happens with a lot of prodigies in chess. That jade has been pushed in and they can intuitively start to figure out what's going on by watching these games. Those games are like the jade. But the reality is that Jade Master is probably teaching incredibly slowly, and it's probably only going to work for certain people. That's the problem that we're dealing with here. So hopefully you can see that just because a strategy works doesn't mean it's the best strategy, nor does it even mean that it's a good strategy. And I think that there are a lot of other ways that need to be tweaked that I think that will be enormously helpful for having the majority of us actually be able to improve in this game on a conscious level without waiting for the intuition and the unconscious competence to show up like a lot of chess prodigies have. So if you like this kind of content, go ahead and like, subscribe, drop a comment below, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.